All right, we're going to get started on a Facility Transportation Committee meeting. It's 6:45, April 8th, 2024. Present myself, Steve Rittenhouse.
Ross Jarrett.
Rich Scratch.
Tiny Bell.
Jay Withers.
All right, we're going to get started with a Train HVAC proposal.
I'm going to introduce Andrew O'Dowd from Train. He's been working on our proposal for us for high school and middle school upgrades.
Hello, thank you for having me. Appreciate your time. As you know, we've been working on this scope development for several months. I want to thank everybody at the school district for your support and your help navigating this and working with your folks and spending the time on this. We think it's important work. I think we all agree on that. Just have a few slides to sort of summarize what we've already talked about, so I won't belabor that. But of course, if there's any questions, please let me know. Why we're here, we kind of talked about this before, just what's going on here, why the need. I'll say the most pressing need right now is the timetable, because this is quite late to be starting a summer project. We do have the time, if everything holds true with factory lead times and all that, we can get this accomplished, but it is going to be very tight. So we suggest that this is very critical to get going at this point. Next slide, please. The scope, I want to summarize this again. Pretty much what we have discussed for the most part. We've had made some tweaks. We've added some things a little bit here and there. High school is to replace 10 makeup air units, basically all of the units that are bringing in fresh air ventilation for all of the classrooms, the large group area instructions, the library, pretty much everything other than the gym, auditorium, most of the rest of the school. Also to replace the annex gym and multi-purpose area with new equipment, to replace that failed equipment with heating and cooling. And E1 was the room also to provide new equipment, new systems, and the control system and sequencing that goes along with that to make that operate efficiently and with proper ventilation rates. And all of this scope has been developed, engineered. We have including engineered drawings, project management, all of that work. The middle school, in a similar fashion, is all of the ventilation equipment, the cafeteria and kitchen systems, as we discussed. Also, all the units for all of the main large areas, the band, the auditorium, stage areas, and then repairing the 4 units there are 6 units, but 4 of those 6 have been faulty. Replacing all of those repaired failed components, those are the units that feed the classrooms. So a little different systems between the 2 schools, but similar systems, but some differences. And again, all the controls that go along with that. Just some pictures. We looked at some of this last time, but just to refresh the viewpoint, this is the high school roof. Some of the equipment we're talking about, you can sort of page through. And this is again the roof. Want to mention this actually is just an example of some of the things we consider when we do these is safety. And this is actually an unsafe condition with this. See how it's right at the edge of the roof, so working on it is. So we're building a railing system to go with that. So that's just one of the safety items I wanted to point out. Some pictures of the middle school ventilation equipment, a little different style systems. They're up on the steel. Some of the work we have to do is rebuilding the ductwork, working on some of the steel. There is some steel that we need here, but it is a little tricky how this was built, but we're gonna work through it. Some of the close-up of some of the ductwork and some of the things that have fallen apart and are not in good shape. In addition to the equipment not being in good shape, also the systems and the insulation, the rubber and stuff like that is also in failed condition. And then another photo of the other roof of the middle school where all the kitchen makeup air ventilation for the kitchen and cafeteria systems are located. So both schools, this is the financial slide. Each school is similar in cost, totaling the 3.9 that we show there. This is not factoring in, but in addition to that, we do have utility rebate we're expecting. We work closely with Med-Ed to get as much rebate dollars as we can here. Estimated about $120,000 for rebate, which is nice. And what that is basically money that you put into your utility bill is Act 129, and that money is then brought back to the district for energy saving projects. So where you can show energy savings versus the baseline, they'll compensate you for that. So they're always changing those programs, and we're going through their process to help get those savings for the district. So in addition to the rebate, then you would also have energy savings on more efficient systems. So when we analyze those efficient systems compared to a baseline system that you have that would be working, we're talking about in the $40,000 a year, like in that ballpark. So that is an every year annual savings, which is good. Operational savings, I work with Jay a little bit on that, just the ballpark kind of the maintenance costs you have now, kind of conservatively, at least $20,000 a year you're spending. Could be a lot more, of course, to replace major repairs, but that's just sort of an every year type thing with these older systems. So that would be a savings with new systems. The dates that we have right now, we've talked about this date. We've moved things a little bit based on an April approval. We're showing right now is April 8th, 22nd board meeting. We would, assuming everything comes together, we have everything worked out, we would release equipment as soon as possible. It used to take a few days. Usually it takes a couple of weeks, but we're going to try to squeeze this to get this done very quickly in a few days. Release all of the systems to the factory, get the factories working on everything. And then these units are lead times. So lead times have improved a little bit since we started this process, but they're still in the 4-month range, 3 to 4 months. To give you an idea of the work as it would unfold, June and July, we start doing prep, just sort of have that July date as sort of the main date of doing demo and prep. We don't want to start too early because we'd be talking about cutting into the roofs and leaving that open. So we would demo that in July, get a lot of that work done ahead of time, getting all the steel work and all the curves and all that stuff done ahead of time as the lead times or as the factory's building the equipment. I want to point out that HVAC, this type of HVAC equipment is all engineered product. None of it is in stock sitting in the factory. It's all built custom. So the factory has to go through a lot of the process to get this stuff built. So I'm sure you probably are aware of that already. July, we'd be doing all that demo work. Equipment would start to arrive in August. So different units would be right now in the early to mid-August delivery dates, which is pushing it. But we build a schedule that if we're prepped everything, we're ready to place the units, we have a lift plan, and we get everything in place in the later part of August. Our controls work would follow. That's kind of the last step. Now, we would make sure all the units are up and running. They would be running without the controls finished, but we would be building the controls, the graphics, all that work would be following through. We think it would go into the school year a little bit, but it wouldn't hamper the ability to have good ventilation air coming into school. It would just be the final touches, the graphics, all the stuff that we have to do in the controls. So that's quickly to the point. That's a summary of the slides. Hopefully that's clear and concise.
Are you going to be moving any of the rooftop units from your current locations?
Not really, no. There's a slight change at the cafeteria kitchen to work that out, but it's all in the same roof structure, so it's all the same location, generally speaking.
Okay, because I was just wondering if there were going to be exposed areas of the roof, because the roof's going to be getting done after you guys have done your work. So if we're going to be moving units around, we're going to have exposed roof to the weather. I just want to know how we're going to handle that, but you don't anticipate that that's going to be the case.
No, well, the exposure to the weather would just be in that interim period between the time we're doing our demo and waiting for units. There may be some days there. We would prep for that. We would have protection.
I was just saying that's hard, but or do something. Okay.
Yes, we have a plan for that.
Chris, yeah.
Is part of the scope to run new electrical to gas, or was all that sufficient to?
There is some changes required. Gas, definitely, especially at the annex. There's no gas over there, so that'll be a new gas run over there. The gas for the rooftop units in the high school is sufficient for the most part. The electrical is sufficient in the buildings. Some of the units require breaker changes, particularly at the middle school. When we did the engineering studies for ventilation rates, some of the unit sizes have changed. Not dramatically, but a little bit. So there is some electrical work. There's electrical work at the annex. That is actually a failed component to the annex. That is very old electrical from decades old, many decades old. So that's going to be upgraded as part of the process. The good thing is your overall service, your main service coming in is good, is sufficient. So nothing dramatically major, but definitely some work.
Okay. And then on the control side, are we getting any sort of upgraded, start, stop, optimum, things like that, or are we going to
Yes.
just?
Yes, one of the big things, yes, and one of the big reasons we can get some decent rebate money there is using domain control ventilation at the high school. Right now, you have a damper situation that is a set position for the outside air coming into the heat pumps, and we're going to modulate that based on CO2 sensors in the large spaces. So we can see what's needed in the space and back down the ventilation coming into the space. Not just set and forget it is what we say sometimes when you just set a damper and just always bring it in that same amount of air. We can modulate and play with that. So that's one of the big improvements. And throughout the units, we're going to have improved control sequences. We'll have much better scheduling capabilities with some of those units, because some of that stuff was still set up from graphics from the original install. And the optimal start and stop capabilities for the middle school units, because those are primary heating and cooling. Also the annex units will have that. Now the units, those 10 units in the high school, it's a different story, because those are true ventilation units and different sequences. But yes, to answer your question.
Okay.
Ms. Bell, you have anything? Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Weathers, I guess we'll go back up to the sweep program. Sure.
SWEEP is a summer work experience program that the school district had a few years ago, and I'd like to see if we could get that going again. So we would bring special education students in age 16 to 18, and they would help out. Typically 2-3 days a week, roughly 3-4 hours. I have listed a few things that they would do. They would help us clean desks, vacuum carpets, dry mop, maybe a little touch-up painting. They would use rags, brooms. They have their own little cleaning cart. We show them how to organize it. Spray bottles, put the Windex in the spray bottles. Take care of the door windows, maybe clean some touch contact points in the hallways and the stairwells and stuff. I wanted to see if this is something you would be interested in bringing back, at least for this summer, and we can see how it goes. And I would actually help manage this. Also, Jeannie and Joey from SSC would also help manage this as well.
Is this just at the high school, or is this?
Yeah, for now, we'll just be at the high school.
I like.
It only got 18, because it says 21 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to be 16 to 18.
Okay.
But they're going to be our students here.
Okay, our students.
I think it's a good idea to give some work experience.
Is there a cost to do this? Or?
No, there's no cost. It's just, getting them out, teaching them how to do a few things. We have washers and dryers here. We can teach them how to use them, and a little minor minimal things. And I think it's a good program to get going again for our school district.
It's very much a life skills type of program for kids. We did this pre-COVID, and it was very successful, and it was well received. Obviously, as Jay correctly pointed out, we're partnering with Goodwill in regards to trying to piece this whole thing together, as well as SSC and our staff that we have here.
Is that the reason it was stopped, though? COVID?
I believe so. I can't 100% speak to it, but I'm sure everything stopped,
Yeah.
because of COVID. But it's good for them. They can walk around the buildings with us, and if we have a rainy day, we can We can have them do some minor painting, like I said, and just work on some little things and help us out.
So Jerry, you have anything? No, I think the committee is in agreement with it.
Oh, sorry.
I think the committee is in agreement, thinks it supports it.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, bleacher bids.
Okay, a couple things with the bleachers. Obviously, this is a little bit of a hot button issue here. We just need a little bit of clarification from the board this evening. I think everyone agrees the bleachers at the middle school are in awful shape right now, clearly in disrepair to the point where it's almost getting dangerous. So we do have to do something here. Previously, we had discussed a little bit about our bleachers themselves and some of the options that were out there. It's a little bit, Jay's been working hard trying to get some bids together for us. There's not a lot of companies that are out there that do this, and certainly not a lot of companies that are local, and we certainly try to stay with Pennsylvania and or localish companies first and foremost, as long as they can meet our needs. Currently, and I'll let Jay speak to this in a moment, we have two bids, and we have two more bids coming in, one next week, and we have one 2 weeks from now. They promised us, so we're waiting on those from the other contractors. Jay also, he took the liberty of, because there was some discussion about potentially going in the direction of wood. He also, because wood is, even based on our first quotes, it's about twice as much as going the plastic route. He went the route of looking at potentially getting used wood bleachers. He was able to find Ephrata is getting rid of theirs, and believe it or not, we have had. He went and took the liberty of going over to the individual we sold Birdsboro to a couple years ago, and they still have some bleachers in there. So he's in discussion with them right now about potential costs of getting that used to try to drive down the costs itself. Jay, why don't you go over the bids that we have right now? And meanwhile, what I want everyone to do is remember, there's two things I want you to think about as we kind of go through this. First, the bleachers that are breaking at the middle school when they're getting hit and people are stepping on it and they're breaking. The way we understand it is those are the bleachers that were not replaced about 3 years ago. Those bleachers are about 20 years old, so those are the ones that are failing. They are not obviously as high quality. I'm going to pass around, and I don't think everyone had a chance to see this, the higher quality plastic bleachers also, so that everyone can really feel the sturdiness of that as Jay goes through the different quotes we have so far. Obviously, we're going to need to circle back on this a little bit later on, but Jay, you want to go over that real quick?
So I met with Ecken who they've done some work with our school district in the past and a few other local schools. He had a different take on it. So this is the wood that they put in their schools. 6-month lead time, 4 weeks of installation. So we wouldn't have a jam for 4 weeks, and his warranty is 10 years for their wood. So here, this is the catalog he gave me. So what they use is a brand called Husky, which is typical. It's what most schools. There's only really 2 different brands that schools use. Husky or Intercal. So here's this one. His take was the fact that our bleachers are already 20 years old. He believes we should just start over. I don't agree with that. Our bleachers are inspected every year by, actually, I can never pronounce it right, RJ Mark. How do you say it, Russ? McCarville. Yeah, so he inspects our bleachers every year. So this guy from Icon Lob is telling me that we should replace because he believes the bleachers are 20 years old and the motors will fail. So if you understand how these bleachers works, they are retractable bleachers. So he was trying to, it's going to be, his numbers are going to be probably not even interesting. But, so, yeah, he said we live in a digital world, I can download an app on my phone, I can control them. Can you imagine that? I'm in my office on the phone with Mr. Hurley and I hit a button and the bleachers go out? Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, so the other guy I met with was Builder Specialty. I believe they're, about 3. Pittston, towards that way. They were actually the contractor working with Effort. So he believes that yes, we can retrofit what we have. What we have is in good shape to put wood on or replace with plastic. He believes our motors are in good shape. He's just not sure about the warranty. So he's working on numerous projects where school districts are they're removing their wood and they're all getting plastic. So when he walked in and met me, he looked around, he was like, I've never seen anything like this. I will have his cost by the end of the week, and I 100% believe it will be very comparable to our first bid of the $72,000 for wood. And the plastic that he has is the same plastic that we already have. He doesn't have access to the inner cowl, the newer plastic. He only sells Hussey plastic. So he can't even give us what we want as far as plastic. That's pretty much where we're at here with retrofitting to wood.
So what we would like from the board is if we get some direction, with wood or plastic, which direction you'd like us to definitely go here, one way or the other. I believe, Jay, your recommendation is plastic, you think it'll hold up. Assuming we can also, we're gonna have to monitor what type of baseballs are being used in there in the future, which my understanding is they weren't using the right type, which may have been some of the issue in regards to why they were great baseballs, either being old. But we aesthetically, take a look at the heavy-duty plastic ones. The other piece, and this is just real, it's budgetary. Very concerned about our overall budget, and we do get a 10-year warranty. Is that right, Jay?
Correct. 10 years.
10 years. So they'll give us a 10-year warranty. The wood bleachers only give us a 1-year warranty right now with the groups we're dealing with. We do have some more bids coming in, like we said, but we'd like some direction from the board as to what you would like us to pursue and bring forward here in the next month here.
So please keep in mind, we also spent the $4,000 and we have that padding up, which has been extremely helpful. So if we do put more plastic up again, we also have the padding up that goes 5.5 feet high.
How much is this?
$40,900, 10-year warranty. One full set, an entire set. So it's 13 rows.
And what's the other one that's 65? Is that the wood?
The wood is, so that's 65 plus your labor, so that's 72,000.
Right, that's for the wood.
Correct.
So this reinforced plastic is
Yes, it's a new model. That's the stuff that Springford just got. I think I had pictures our last meeting.
And how many of those do we, is it the 675 or?
Yeah, I don't have the exact.
Because I found the receipt or the invoice from March 3rd, 2021 was for 120. But you're saying that's the only time you've ever replaced them? Because I would have sworn.
I can't be sure. We've had that building for 20 years, so I was at the building level. I don't remember those breaking before when I was principal in that building, but I couldn't say for certainty 20 years back.
I thought Steve Biggerstaff said he
Steve Biggerstaff did replace some of those. That was about 2.5 years ago.
Well, he said he kept them in storage to replace them as they broke, because even then he said they broke easily.
There is a closet where, so what happens is when they break, I think I said this, we're putting the date with a Sharpie on the hole. And then Steve did have a bunch of backup ones that he purchased, and since I've been here 2 years, we went through them. So he did have a janitor closet filled with a handful of them that were in there. We went through them all.
Okay. Again, I just think it's crazy.
I don't know how many ordered, 120?
This is that, it says here 120 of them were ordered in 2021, in March of 2021. And I believe he said that was the last of that color he could get.
Yes, that is correct. Because when I got hired and I had to order maybe 15, it is a different shade of color.
And the motor, if the motor goes out, can you manually open it?
You can, it's not, absolutely. I mean, they did it back,
Yeah.
when we were kids, they didn't have retractable Yeah,
Is the motor replaceable?
Correct.
Right?
Yes, and they are 20,000 a motor, and each bleacher set has 2 motors. But they're fine. They're inspected every year. I have all the paperwork. Bigger staff did a great job of keeping up with all that. I have everything. So he's just looking at a big picture. What if we do buy bleachers and rework and replace, and then the motors go in a week or two? I'm not thinking of that.
But you were saying the motors were 20K apiece?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
there's 2 to each bank?
Correct. There is newer technology, obviously. The bleachers are 20 years old. We have a little yellow push button thing. Come out and it's open, close, you know. Tom and I did it, we went out and did it, and there is cell phones and all that you can do. But do
So if they
do
go
we
out,
need that?
it's not the seats affect that, right? Like you can still access the motor?
If the motors fail, we can pull the seats out. We can pull the bleachers out.
You have to remove them all to get to the motor?
Yes.
No.
Yes. He was just big picture. I don't think we need to even. That's why I brought that up, because when you see his cost, it's going to be, you know, we can buy a new house. It's going to be a lot.
All right, so what's the committee's feeling here, the board's feeling, who's present? Sticking with plastic, replacing them, looking to replace it with wood? I think it's what Jay, Mr. Brothers, or Mr. Hurley are looking for.
I truly believe if we get the newer plastic with a 10-year warranty, we work together, we have the padding, we can keep these going.
I'm in agreement with Jay on this.
Yeah, that's this, right, that blue?
The newer,
Correct.
the newer
Yes.
design, yes.
Yeah. I can get behind
Chris?
I mean, wood doesn't fail, man. It might be an extra 20 grand, but if
that. But
that
it's only got a
10,
1-year warranty.
yeah, but it's wood, unless the wood is rotted. You know, no baseball is gonna break a wood bleacher. I mean, my high school had wood bleachers for 100 years and they never got replaced.
I know mine did too.
Yeah, so, you know, I think wood is just a better investment. It's because at the 10-year mark, these could all just go to crap, and then we're looking at this in 10 years.
So I do have a meeting Friday with the owner of Italian Delight, who bought our elementary building, to see what we can do. I did make him an offer. It's extremely low. So we're going to take a look, because he has 3 sets over there that we could use.
They're not as big, right?
Yeah, what's the coverage? Like, how would that cover the middle school?
I haven't even,
Okay.
yeah, I haven't seen them yet, so my kids were graduated there so long ago. So I'll go out and take all the measurements and take a look at everything.
Just to be clear, it gets really muddy when we start talking about all the different possibilities for the different options that are available, both within plastic as well as with wood. So I think let's just start from the very beginning. Where are we coming down on plastic or wood? Once we make that decision, we can continue to do additional work. But that's the big one we really need to know.
Probably a good question. If we bought the used wood ones, they'd have to be refinished, I would assume, redone. It'd have to be refinished,
The wood.
you would think, and I don't know what the cost would be associated
Sanding
with that.
polyurethane. I mean, I think
It kind of depends on the condition,
Right.
you know, he's
You
gonna
don't
have
have
to
bad
go
numbers.
and see what that looks like, so.
Would that be like retrofitted, or I don't know?
They tear out what we have.
We would take them out, and
Because those don't have a motor.
so we would just have regular structured standing bleachers, but there's not as many rows.
Yeah.
So it should fit. I'd have to do all the measurements. This all just kind of came about today, so.
So I think we kind of have to let Jay do that process before we're going to make a recommendation, right? On whether we're going to go wood or plastic, right? We should at least evaluate what he's got over there.
Unless we can get those things for pretty low, cost us a whole lot.
$60. Just asking for a friend, man.
It's not,
You'll have to have a volunteer day and have everybody truck them over.
I gotta try.
I mean, this bid here for the plastic is, what, 40,900 with the
Correct.
installation? Rob, or Mr. Hurley, you said the ones that were broken, we believe were 20 years old.
We believe it's the original ones.
Right. So that means we would have 20 years to anticipate replacing these again,
Yeah.
in all likelihood.
We also have a
41.
41 now. which we
Yes.
didn't have.
$41,000 divided, split over 10 or 20 years does not have much of an effect on the budget. It's just my opinion. I mean, you're talking double the price for the wood.
Well, right, that's the thing, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't.
It's nearly $8,000.
I get what Chris is saying about wood, and I'm not opposed to wood. I'm a high school guy too, but again, I don't know that I want to spend $60K.
It's 75
Right,
or 70.
75.
Yeah.
And we've been told we're like an anomaly in this experience. Most schools with plastic bleachers are having a better experience.
I've been told a little bit of both. There's really no clear balance with it. It's
Let me just interject. Our experience with the plastic bleachers that we're having right now, I would say is an abnormality. That is not common for plastic bleachers to be breaking like we have now. Just to be clear, I do believe if we go with the reinforced plastic, we're not going to be talking about bleachers for years.
Yeah, don't let them hit a baseball into that, right?
No, we've tried
Yeah.
with some
With the new ones, yeah. Try throwing baseballs at the reinforced ones.
Yeah, and we can't break
Yeah.
them.
Right.
Yes, it is.
All right. So we want to bring that to the committee, the whole.
Then, I think if we're going to entertain this, we're going to have to get a look at what he's got going on over.
it's up to what you guys want to do.
We could always do a not to exceed, because we already have the one quote.
You could, that way get this moving and we can guarantee that it's done before school starts next year.
That's also my concern. Yes.
And there's enough to replace all the bleachers that we need.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I haven't had eyes on it yet. Friday, 3 o'clock, I'm going over there.
Right, all right, so that could be a deal breaker, right?
It's not.
We need to see what's going on.
It's
Yeah,
not
I can't
going.
imagine it's going to be enough.
We need to see what's very small.
So if that's the case, then
You'd have to make up with some other schools what they're getting rid of.
And then they
if that's the case,
Yeah.
then I think we should probably just look at the plastic.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll move that to the
At
committee.
that point, you might as well just-
All right. Sorry. Go ahead. Are you?
No problem.
Okay.
Agree.
All right. Thanks, Jay. We're really out of time, so we're just going to end here. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Mr. Hurley, you good with?
Yeah, we're good. The one thing I do want to let the board know, we've been negotiating with Alters, they do our maintenance and our grounds, and in terms of looking for some ways for the district to save some money, we've come up with a tentative, or at least a framework for an agreement that should save the district over $60,000 per year until the end of the contract. We will be bringing that contract once we have Supers finalize that to the board of directors. But I'd like to thank Walters for having the concern to work with us on this. I know we're in a tight spot right now, and I'd like to thank Jay and Christian who were instrumental in helping put this together for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll end this committee at 7:32. Thanks.